The silver transport ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, its smooth hull reflecting the morning sunlight. Inside, Nari gripped her seat as the vessel shuddered. This was her first journey away from the Azurian homeworld, and despite years of training, nothing had prepared her for the actual sensation of entering an alien planet's atmosphere. "Final approach to International Xenocience Research Center," announced the pilot. "All passengers secure belongings." Nari checked her environmental monitoring device one last time. The small crystal embedded in her wrist pulsed with a soft blue light, indicating Earth's atmosphere would be tolerable, if not entirely comfortable. As the youngest xenobiologist ever selected for the exchange program, she couldn't afford any mistakes. The ship landed with a gentle thud. Nari gathered her few possessions and moved toward the exit with the 4 other Azurians. Their crystalline skin caught the light, sending tiny rainbows dancing across the ship's interior. Unlike humans with their solid coloring, Azurian skin was translucent and refractive, changing hues with their emotions and health status. "Remember the protocols," said senior researcher Doe, their team leader. "No physical contact with humans. No consumption of Earth substances. Maintain environment suits in public spaces." The door hissed open, revealing a small welcome committee of humans waiting on the landing pad. Nari felt her skin flush with purple excitement, immediately focusing her emotions to return to a more professional clear blue. This was it, real humans, not just images and study materials. Director Kim stepped forward, a distinguished human with streaks of gray in his black hair. He performed the Azurian greeting gesture perfectly, hands placed palm to palm, and a slight bow. "Welcome to Earth. We are honored by your presence and look forward to sharing knowledge between our species." Nari and her colleagues returned the gesture. She noticed how different humans looked up close. Their varied features, the wrinkles around Director Kim's eyes, the different hair colors and skin tones among the welcoming group. The databases hadn't captured this wonderful diversity. The group was led inside the research center, a sprawling complex of interconnected buildings. Nari observed everything with scientific curiosity. The plants decorating the hallways, the peculiar smell of human environments, the way temperature changed between rooms. "These will be your private quarters," said a young human researcher named Tai, showing Nari to her room. "We've adjusted the atmospheric composition to be more comfortable for Azurian physiology." Nari stepped inside and felt immediate relief as her lungs expanded more easily in the modified air. "Thank you. This is most considerate. If you need anything, just use the communication panel by the door," Tai explained. "Tomorrow morning, I'll show you our laboratories and introduce you to the research team." After Tai left, Nari carefully unpacked her analysis equipment. She placed her most treasured possession on the desk, a small crystal from her family's ancestral cave, a reminder of home. Then she activated her environmental scanner to analyze her new surroundings. The readings were fascinating. Earth's atmosphere contained elements barely present on her homeworld. No wonder her species found extended stays on Earth so challenging. The slightly higher nitrogen content alone would dull the Azurian senses and slow their thought processes over time. That evening, the Azurian team met for their first Earth meal in a private dining area. The nutrition packs, specially formulated for their biology, tasted bland but familiar. Through a large window, they could observe humans eating their own food in the main cafeteria. "They consume such variety," noted Nari, watching humans with different dishes, and together in large groups. "Their digestive systems are remarkably adaptive," said Doe. "Our research here may help us understand how to broaden our own limited tolerances." Nari noticed one human drink in particular that seemed especially popular, a dark liquid in small cups that humans often held while conversing. She made a mental note to ask about it later. That night, lying in her bed, Nari felt the subtle wrongness of Earth pressing against her senses. The gravity was slightly stronger, making her limbs feel heavy. The sounds were different. the hum of electronic systems rather than the crystalline resonance of Azurian buildings. Yet despite the discomfort, excitement kept her awake. Tomorrow she would begin her real work. 6 months on this strange planet, studying alongside the fascinating humans. 6 months to learn, discover, and perhaps even make history with new scientific breakthroughs. Little did she know how soon that opportunity would come, or that it would begin with something as simple as a human drink. The laboratory hummed with quiet activity as Neri peered into her microscope. 3 weeks had passed since her arrival on Earth, and she was finally adjusting to the research center's routines. The slight dizziness and sensory dulling that all Azurians experienced on Earth remained, but she had learned to compensate. "Finding anything interesting?" Tai asked, rolling his chair closer to her workstation. Neri looked up, her skin briefly flashing a pleased pink before returning to its professional blue. "Yes, the cellular adaptation rate in Earth organisms is remarkable. Plants here change faster than anything on my world." Ta nodded, making notes on his tablet. Over the weeks, they had developed an easy working relationship. While the other Azurians mostly kept to themselves, Neri found herself drawn to human interactions, especially with Ta. He explained Earth customs with patience and never seemed bothered by her questions. "I've been wondering," said Ta, "how much of our culture have you been able to experience?" "You're always in the lab." "Our briefings covered basic human cultural patterns," Neri replied. "Though I admit observation differs from experience." Ta smiled. "There's a small gathering tonight. The research center's 5th anniversary. Nothing big, just food, drinks, maybe some music. Would you like to come?" "For cultural research, of course." Neri hesitated. Social events weren't forbidden, but senior researcher Doe had emphasized caution around large human groups. Still, scientific curiosity won out. "I would find that valuable," she said. "For research purposes." That evening, Neri spent extra time preparing. She adjusted her environmental suit to its thinnest setting, still safe but less visibly alien. She also activated the subtle illumination circuits in her skin, allowing the natural crystalline patterns of Azurian physiology to show through. Humans seemed to find the effect beautiful, and tonight was about positive cultural exchange. The gathering took place in the research center's atrium, where plants from both Earth and alien worlds grew together under a glass dome. About 15 people stood in small groups, talking and laughing. Soft music played from hidden speakers. "You came." Ta greeted her, his face showing the expression humans called a smile. "Let me introduce you around." For the next hour, Neri observed human social behavior with fascination. They stood closer together than Azurians would, occasionally touching arms or shoulders. They laughed often and spoke about topics unrelated to work. Most interestingly, they consumed various foods and drinks while socializing. One dark liquid in particular caught her attention. Nearly everyone held clear containers of it, and it seemed central to the gathering. "What is that drink?" Neri asked when she and Ta found a quiet moment. "This. Cold brewed coffee," Ta said, holding up his glass. "Probably the most important substance in scientific research history. It keeps us awake during late experiments." "It contains stimulants?" Neri asked, her scientific curiosity piqued. "Caffeine, mainly. Want to analyze some? I know you can't drink it, but maybe it's interesting chemically." Ta brought her a small sample in a clear container. Neri retrieved her portable analyzer from her pocket and scanned the liquid. The results made her skin flash with surprised yellow. "This is remarkable," she said, studying the readout. "These compounds are structurally similar to Vitha extract from my homeworld, a medicinal plant we use for mental clarity during important ceremonies." "Really? That's fascinating," Ta said. "Convergent evolution across planets." As Tai turned to greet a colleague, Neri stared at the coffee. The chemical similarities were striking. On her world, Vitha was used to counter the effects of sensory overload. Could coffee perhaps address the sensory dampening Azurians experienced on Earth? She glanced around. No one was watching. The protocols were clear, no human consumables, but this was a unique research opportunity. Just a drop would be enough for basic analysis. Carefully, Neri dipped her finger into the liquid and touched it to her tongue, expecting the bitter taste described in the files. What she didn't expect was the immediate effect. Like a fog lifting, her senses sharpened. Colors brightened. Sounds became clearer. The perpetual heaviness in her limbs vanished. For the first time since arriving on Earth, she felt fully herself. "Nari, are you okay?" Ta had returned, looking concerned. "Your skin is doing something I haven't seen before." Nari realized her skin was cycling through colors rapidly, the Azurian equivalent of wide-eyed shock. She forced her coloration to stabilize. "I'm fine," she said, though her mind raced with implications. The music just changed to a particularly interesting pattern. Ta looked skeptical, but didn't press. As the gathering continued, Nari carefully observed her own reactions. The effect was temporary but undeniable. This accidental discovery could change everything about Azurian-human relations. The only question was whether to report it, or to investigate further on her own first. The next morning, Neri woke earlier than usual. The effects of the coffee had faded, but the memory remained vivid. She had experienced Earth with full clarity for the first time. The colors, sounds, even the subtle vibrations of the building systems, everything had been sharper, more present. She needed to understand exactly what had happened. As the research center slowly came to life around her, Neri slipped into her laboratory. No one would question her early arrival. She had already gained a reputation for dedication. Using her personal equipment rather than the lab's shared systems, she began analyzing the sample of coffee she had secretly kept. The chemical composition was complex. The caffeine was only part of what made it interesting. There were other compounds, antioxidants, acids, and trace minerals, that together created something remarkably similar to Vitha extract from her homeworld. "Is this a cultural study I'm unaware of?" Senior researcher Do asked, suddenly appearing behind her. Nari's skin flashed alarmed orange before she could control it. "Senior Do, good morning. I was just examining the human beverage. For cultural understanding." Do looked skeptical. "Remember protocols, junior researcher. Observation only, no consumption." "Of course," Neri said, but after Do left, she returned to her analysis with even greater determination. By midday, she had developed a theory. Earth's atmospheric composition, specifically its higher nitrogen content, affected Azurian neural pathways in ways that dampened sensory input. This was why her people found extended Earth stays so difficult. But certain compounds in coffee seemed to temporarily counteract this effect. She needed more data. More importantly, she needed to test her theory again. During the lunch break, Nari found Ta in the cafeteria.